so I was going to introduce everybody, but I still know Scott's name. So I'm Julie Vaughn.
Scott Minkowski.
I'm Kyle Dolan.
Jason Evan.
Okay. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what our application was about and kind of who would use it. Some of you may have been involved in youth club sports when you were younger. Some of you might have had kids that do that, but there's probably plenty of you that haven't. So I'm just going to explain a little bit what the need is. So our application is a volunteer portal. When you are involved in a youth club sports group, there is typically a volunteer requirement for the parents. So for every child that is in a program, you have to do X number of hours of volunteering. Now there's somebody on the administrative end that's got to assign the jobs and keep track of it and all that kind of stuff. And it can be really time consuming. Also in this era where everybody wants control of their things and they want everything on their phone, parents don't want to sign up for a job 3 or 4 months in advance. So what we came up with is an application that helps manage the whole process. On our application, you can have multiple clubs and parents can go in and they can choose the job that they want to do and assign it to their child's activity, I guess, for lack of better word. And I don't know who's going to get started.
So I'm just going to generally show the kind of club side aspect of it. First of all, here's just our landing screen. Then I'll log into an administrator account. So on this is the first screen you'll see after either you create an account or log into your account. You have the option to join a club or start a club right away. So we could just create a club real quick. It's just a short description and a name, and it'll create that club. It's added to their sidebar, and they're automatically the admin of it. So like for example, I'll go to the member page for the new club, and their role is admin. So the first thing that a club would probably do though is put in their roster, and this would just be all the athletes in your club. You want to make sure that you have them accounted for, what grade they're in, any contact info, and then so you could create a new athlete. Yes. And then here we assign, a lot of times there's an option for like a buyout for a parent. If they know they aren't going to be able to donate the hours, they can just pay to buy out. So if you know that that's the case with this child, you could just set the hours that they would need to 0. But otherwise, you would set it to like 10 or whatever your club decides is the amount. And you can just set their grade. And then so they are now added to the roster for that club. Another thing that you would want to do right away is just create your events. Just like that other page, pretty much works the same. You have a button for a new event. The admins have controls for editing and deleting events. The new event screen is very similar, just taking any relevant info and you can put it in, selecting start date, start time, and end date and end time. As well as the details page, which anyone can see for an event, will also load up any jobs that people can sign up for. Related to that event. Like for example, currently this account is signed up for this job and they could unregister from that from here, or they could sign up for one that doesn't have someone signed to it yet. And then also there's the jobs page, which works almost exactly the same as the events page, but instead you can choose an event to assign the job to, and then a start time, a date, and then the total length of that job in hours. And then one other admin control, well, I guess it's not admin control, everyone has access to this, but is announcements, so you can just make general announcements about the club that everyone can see. And that's about it from a club side.
Sure, yeah. So we added a calendar feature. so you can easily see all the events. And scroll through the months and week by week. Then you can also click on them to see the event details and sign up for jobs. Because just click sign up or unregistered. Yeah, I don't know what there's more to say about the calendar.
It proved to be a lot more challenging than we initially planned. When we initially had the idea, we wanted to have a calendar from the get-go, and it thought it'd just be like, oh, we'll just look it up. There would probably be a chunk of code we can throw in there and kind of work with, and it ended up being quite more arduous than that. It ended up taking quite a bit of time, but it really happy with how it turned out. Running through how you would start this if you were a new person. So let's say you're a student, you just found out that you need to make an account. So then right from this page, you have the option of selecting which club you are in. Ideally, this would have all of the clubs for your certain area in here. So let's just say your child is a part of Panther Baseball Club, then you can create your account. And now the only thing you will see is you did not pick your athlete yet, so you will actually not have any information. What you have to do is you have to go and go to the roster, which there's no one here for this. I picked the perfect club for this. Alright, so let's say that my child was Peter Rabbit here. Then you would go into the roster, claim your child, and then at that point, that is when the additional information shows up, like how many hours you need and everything. So now that our child is claimed, it lets us know that we have 10 hours remaining. We have no hours assigned yet because we have not signed up for any events at this time. But then of course at that time you could go and all of these events are what would be available. So now let's say we wanted for this group for them to be signed up for this event. You're now signed up and you can, we did not record any hours, so the hours are still going to be 0, but that is how you put it in with your child and sign them for events, and that event would be taken off for a different user. And then here you can of course see the other members in your group. This would be other people on the roster.
Like you can have multiple parents sign up and claim one child.
And so
And both put hours under them.
I'll log back into a better account to show that first screen. So on this screen, this account has 2 jobs that are upcoming that they're assigned to. So they can either look at the all tab and see all of them, or they could go to like Little Street Hoops clubs and it'll show just the jobs related to that club. Same thing with that club.
The reason for that, which I didn't really understand, but they kind of clued me in, is when you have a child and they're in, let's say, 2 different sports. This sport needs 10 hours and this sport needs 10 hours. There's no linking because each one is a different organization. So that was pretty essential because you need to know for each group how much time is remaining. So.
And then under the My Clubs here's where you kind of assign your worked hours. As if you're signed up for a job and then that job is passed, like it's past its date, you will have those hours assigned to your account. So like, for example, for the Little Street Wrestling Club, they have 6 hours of work already completed. So they can assign these hours to their kids. But like, so they can't put in 7, it won't allow that. And they can't put in a total more than 6, so like here it's 4 plus 3, and it'll come back and won't assign that at all. And so that's just where you would assign it. And so, for example, it updates their remaining hours. I was put 0 there, 6 there. Now those athletes have 10 and 4 instead of 7 and 7 each, which is also reflected in the roster page, which is able to be seen by the admins so they can see at a glance what athletes' parents still need to do stuff, what athletes' parents are done. That's, anything else you guys can think of?
Maybe show the jobs.
Jobs.
Show the jobs.
We showed the jobs.
Mhm.
Yeah, right after the events. So yeah, that is about it. Does anyone have any questions?
So if my kid's in soccer and I pop open the calendar, how would I know what events are associated with that soccer club?
So the calendars are specific to each organization. So like if I go to the Hoops Club calendar, it will show all the Hoops Club events. And then under the Little Street Wrestling Club, I go to calendar, it will show the events for the rest of
Okay, that's nice. That's good.
I have a design question.
Yes, sir.
I really like your inputs, how the placeholder goes up.
That's cool.
That looks nice. What did you use for that, just a jQuery plugin?
There was a theme that we found, I think just called Dark Material, in that it had a bunch of custom classes that just kind of worked that way.
It was jQuery though. Like it Bootstrap didn't use jQuery, so that's what gets you that little animation.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I'd never really seen something like that before. So when I noticed that was in the
It's got like a
Bootstrap,
native app feel to it.
How'd you do on your time estimates?
I'd say we were pretty close on them. I mean, generally underestimating how much work things would be. Like the calendar obviously ended up being a lot more work than we thought. But once we kind of got the first couple weeks in, our estimates got much more accurate.
yeah, the first week was definitely the largest gap between estimate versus how much time it actually took, which, you just learn how much time certain aspects take. You know that something might sound relatively easy, but when you start thinking about the type of how you need to lay it out, the code that would go into it, and the design aspect of it, there's so much more that you
So there's some hang up that gets you every time.
Well, and a lot of these pages were iterative, so once you got, say, the events page done, the jobs page was much easier because it's one small change, basically.
I just split up the work.
So when we did every week we'd meet once a week and we do a little sprint, we do a little scrum, couldn't think of the word. We do a little scrum. We tried to follow the agile process because they really stressed that in our first couple of classes. So we stand and talk and be like, all right, this is what we did this week, this is what we did this week. And we each have our strengths. Like I did some more of the design stuff, but he was really good with database aspects and things like that. So we kind of very quickly worked together to find our strengths. So we would know, there's something that needed to be changed with, the database. We'd go talk to Jason, or, there was something that needed to be changed with, setting up a new page. We'd possibly go with Scott, so it was just, we kind of learned each other's strengths and weaknesses pretty quick. So that was how we divided up the work.
So did you guys manage your source code?
We used,
Team Foundation from Azure DevOps.
Okay. Is that where you stored like all your features and stuff like that? How'd you manage just your project management, I guess?
Your stories, your.
Features?
Mostly
Sprints.
just writing down as a group. We were able to actually meet as a group every
We
week.
did some TFS too in the beginning, but ended up just doing it by hand later.
Okay.
yeah, and we used Skype to communicate, so that was actually really useful. You can send stuff through there, and that was an amazing tool. Actually, it worked really, really